Nothing to hide, and I'm gonna break it straight down the pipe for you, face to face.
Being tough gets you hurt. This is a sharp game, a skill game, a chess game, and I think people see that.
When you lost that fight, walking out of the ring, what were your memories? What did you think?
Boxing's a lot tougher than I expected.
See, you don't know my ability though.
That's true.
You don't.
I don't know where you might go. I just give you where I think you're at, which I'm entitled to, which is average. Average is very complimentary.
The face-to-face interview between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua offered a tense, intriguing glimpse into two very different fighters. Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned professional boxer, approached the encounter with bold confidence and swagger. Joshua, in contrast, remained composed, analyzing Paul's challenge with the calm precision of a seasoned champion. Yet Paul didn't shy away from acknowledging Joshua's advantages. His size, skill, and championship experience make him a formidable opponent. He openly admitted that this could be his toughest test yet, but emphasized he's ready to step up and prove himself.
This relentless style, this forward pressure, taking lots of damage and not giving a fuck and returning that damage more than what his opponents are giving him. And
The fight officially set for December 19th. Anticipation has reached a fever pitch. Jake Paul made it clear that this isn't just another celebrity bout. It's a genuine challenge against a former unified heavyweight champion. He acknowledged the enormous risk of facing Joshua, but insisted that achieving greatness requires taking bold chances. Joshua, in turn, remained calm and measured, praising Jake's business savvy and dedication, while reminding everyone that experience still counts. Once the bell rings, he said, respect goes out the window and instinct takes control. Both fighters agreed on one thing. This matchup could define their careers. Either Jake pulls off a shocking upset, or Joshua cements his legacy as a dominant force. Former UFC champion Michael Bisping weighed in on the fight, calling it a win-win scenario for Jake Paul. He argued that even in defeat, Paul would earn serious respect for daring to step into the ring with former heavyweight world champion. Bisping emphasized that taking on Joshua proves Paul isn't just dabbling in celebrity boxing. He's willing to take real, high-stakes risks. And, of course, a victory would instantly elevate Paul's credibility to a whole new level. For Joshua, however, the fight carries its own set of risks. A win might be criticized as an easy, low-risk payday against a social media star, rather than a true top-tier opponent. But a loss would be even more damaging, potentially tarnishing his legacy and raising questions about his future in the sport. According to Bisping, the stakes could not be higher for either fighter.
I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. And by the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself. Everyone says the same thing. And he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is gonna have a chance, and not to mention...
Regardless of the outcome, this fight seems more like a strategic business move than a defining moment for Joshua's legacy. One of the key factors in the matchup is the significant weight difference between the two fighters. Jake Paul reportedly came in near 200 pounds for his bout against Mike Tyson, while Anthony Joshua typically competes in the heavyweight range, weigh between 252 and 255 pounds.
It's going to be, I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work? Like, how do you even, never mind. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not official and I don't think it's happening. So let's just not even broach that subject. But let's talk about the Anthony Joshua fight. And I want to hear the clip again because I just can't believe what I'm hearing. Let's play it again.
I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will
got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends, all this shit, but I want to fight you.
So Jake says he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. He says he's going to beat Anthony Joshua's ass, that he doesn't have a chin, that he has no skill, and that he's stiff. And then you hear Derek again with the porn creeper stash chime in. Didn't he just get knocked out? Yeah, by Daniel Dubois, who is a reigning heavyweight champion of the world. Not that that means anything at all, I don't guess. Yeah, Jake's just flat out wrong here with a lot of his critiques of Anthony Joshua in comparison to himself. Like, if you want to say for the elite heavyweights in the world that Anthony Joshua has a little bit less skill and is more stiff than they are, then okay, but Anthony Joshua is still an elite heavyweight in the world. And then to go as far as to say, I will beat Anthony Joshua's, that he doesn't have a chin, no skill, he's stiff. Like, again, Jake can have this opinion. And he says that, that we're friends and I love you, but I want to fight you. And Jake may even believe that, but he's just wrong. Like, Anthony Joshua took heavy shots against Daniel Dubois before he was knocked out, and really the reason he was knocked out is because he got in a firefight and threw an uppercut as a lead because Ben Davidson was...
Anthony Joshua has faced some of the biggest names in boxing and brings far more experience to the ring than Jake Paul, a point Joe Rogan has highlighted in discussions about the matchup. Joshua has endured battles with elite-level opponents, while Paul is still relatively new to the sport and still building his in-ring resume.
That's coming into his own, man. That's what that is. He's only like 27. That guy's fucking scary. He's dangerous. Going into that fight, it seems like he believed that he was just going to dominate him. He was so aggressive. He was just in the pocket constantly, just forcing Joshua to go to war. It was wild.
Everybody was like, look, to Joshua, I think you're done.
Right after he knocks out Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, you're back.
Yeah.
Flattened Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, oh, Joshua's back.
Dana White has been largely dismissive of Jake Paul. He admitted that he stopped following Paul after the YouTuber suffered a loss against a professional boxer. White has been skeptical of Paul's bouts, often labeling his earlier fights as more pay-per-view spectacles than serious competition. He also brushed off legal threats from Paul's team regarding allegations of fixed fights, emphasizing that while he doesn't think they're rigged, many of Paul's matches simply don't meet the standard of legitimate professional contests.
The fight that's reportedly being worked on for December 19th in Miami.
Did I see the fight being worked on December 19th in Miami?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a fucking bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people will watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think everybody's going to get what they've...
Tommy Fury dismissed the idea of Jake Paul facing Anthony Joshua, calling Paul's ambitions laughable. He reminded fans that he had defeated Paul himself, even while dealing with a serious hand injury, using that win to cast doubt on Paul's credibility. Fury questioned whether Paul even deserved such a high-profile matchup and suggested that Joshua would have little to gain from it. He even speculated that Joshua might be protected financially if the fight went on too long, expressing skepticism that Paul could genuinely challenge a heavyweight of Joshua's caliber.
Can beat Jake Paul. And excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me two-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on, like you can't be serious. You can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So.
In contrast, Tyson Fury has offered a bold prediction about a possible fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. The former heavyweight champion confidently stated that Paul could knock out Joshua, saying, "Jake Paul can handle AJ 100%. I'd put my money on him."
Do you think Jake Paul knocks out Joshua? Seriously?
Jake Paul chins AJ, yes, they fight.
Are you serious?
100%.
Jake Paul calling him out.
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50.
Fury sees a matchup as a true 50-50 contest and has reportedly backed his belief by wagering £1 million on Jake Paul to secure the win.
Fury just comes out with an interview saying that he thinks Jake Paul will knock out Anthony Joshua. I think this is probably like a troll attempt to get Anthony Joshua to fight Tyson Fury, but then again, I don't know. Maybe Alexander Usyk did more damage than we thought. I think Jake Paul knocks him out, Fury told Ring Magazine when asked about Paul versus Joshua. I just think Jake Paul would knock out Anthony Joshua out. I think Jake Paul is on the rise. I like his new heavyweight look, a bit chubby, a bit bulky, getting there. And he just did a great job over the aging. I mean, the fool was like almost 40, you know, and he like was not a fighter for a long time or a boxer, you know. He's just in it for the check and the name value of his dad, you know. Aging Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he was a middleweight, but still. I like how Jake Paul calls out the full spectrum from featherweight to heavyweight. Who'd he call out? Tank Davis and Joshua? That's just crazy. I see Richter Scale call outs. Exactly. I will say, I don't know, Gervonta Davis could beat him too, even though he does outweigh.
Fury's bold statements have ignited plenty of debate within the boxing world, with many questioning the realism of his prediction. Jake Paul responded with full confidence, claiming he would multiply the wager tenfold, putting £10 million on himself to win the fight.
About possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky. Getting there. Protected. And he just done a great job over the aging Chavez Jr., who was a middleweight, but still.
Sure.
Yeah. I like how Jake Paul calls out the full spectrum from featherweight to heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Who did he call out? Tank Williams and Joshua. That's just crazy. That's what he called Richter Scale.
However, Jake Paul's habit of calling out boxing legends has drawn frustration from many fans. Critics argue that he isn't yet a serious contender, and that his public challenges are more about generating attention than genuinely proving himself in the sport.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will beat. He just got knocked out, right? Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo.
Stop the tape now. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. The thing I respect about Jake Paul is his strategic selection of opponent. The retired NBA player, the mixed martial artist who does not specialize in striking, and a almost approaching 60-year-old Mike Tyson. But Anthony Joshua's skills are 1,000 light years ahead of Jake Paul's. Anthony Joshua, Mr. 28 wins, 25 knockouts, 4 losses. Anthony Joshua has been in the ring with real fighters. His resume speaks for itself. I just have one thing to say. Jake Paul, You can't play boxing. Trust me. Just stay in your...
Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith has openly criticized Jake Paul for choosing to face boxing legend Mike Tyson. Smith argues that if Paul truly wants to establish himself in the sport, he should focus on opponents closer to his own age and experience level rather than targeting seasoned veterans like Anthony Joshua. His point is that Paul's credibility in boxing will grow only by taking on challengers who are active and on a comparable skill level.
Hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane. It's hard to me believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.
Smith has consistently questioned the quality of Jake Paul's opponents, noting that many are either non-boxers or fighters past their prime. Paul, in response, defended his record by claiming he attempted to face Tommy Fury, but Fury declined. This exchange highlights a key moment in Paul's career, reflecting both the criticism he faces and his determination to pursue high-profile matchups.
Are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world.
And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. We'd love to hear your take on this matchup. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.